All right, let's now talk about another way, more efficient way to find slope-intercept and to graph. So we have something called the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Get used to this. Once you've learned this, this is how I want you to always graph. Never doing a table anymore. Just using y equals mx plus b. And this form gives us everything we need to be able to graph. It gives us a slope and an intercept. In this case, the y-intercept point. Remember what the x is in a y-intercept point? You think about that and we'll see if you got it right when I get to it. So when our equation is written, so you can read it, in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, there's nothing more we need to do with this except for extract the things that we need to do our graph. So, slope, always with the letter m, is everything that is in front of the x. The x is never ever part of slope, just everything that's in front of it. So our slope here is negative 1/2. And then, y-intercept point, now, what is the x-coordinate and y-intercept point always? 0. And b is our y-intercept point. So in this case, plus 5. Now I don't write the plus, but I want you to say it every single time. No matter what this is, when you're writing it down here, say the positive. So plus 5, plus 10, plus 57, plus 3/4, whatever it happens to be. Because if you are used to saying plus this, plus that, whatever it is, when this is negative, then you will pick it up. But if you just say 5, 10, 57, 3/4, then when this is a negative, chances of you picking up that negative is very little. Okay? So always say the positive, then you'll also pick up the negative. Now, this gives us everything we need to graph. So, first thing we need to do is graph our y-intercept point. And that is just exactly like graphing points that we've been doing all along. So we start at the origin. We do not go left or right because our x is 0. And in this case, we're going to go up because our y is positive. And we're going to go up 5. And there is our intercept point. Now, we're going to use slope to find our next point. Know that slope is never, ever, ever, never, ever a point. It is a map to get us from one point to the next. Our GPS, let's say. So a map to get us from one point to the next. So now we look at this. This slope is negative. Remember, negative slopes, the line goes like this. So when we are done graphing, our line better look something like this. When the slope is negative, you can put the negative either in the numerator or the denominator. We usually put it in the numerator, unless we need to go to the other direction. But that makes the top, in this case, negative, and the bottom positive. So keep that in mind. They aren't both negative, because then that would negative divided by negative would be a positive, and that changes which way the line goes. Now also remember that slope is called something, we call it rise over run. So think of rise like a balloon going up or down, run like back and forth. So up and down is our y-axis, back and forth like a dog run is our x-axis. So this is y over x. So when we are using slope, we do it a little bit differently than just graphing a point. First of all, we do not start at the origin. We start at the point we just made. Unless our point was at the origin, then we start at the origin. But other than that, we always start at the point we just made, and now we're going to do y first and then x. So in this case, I'm going to go down because it's -1, and I'm going to go down 1, and then to the right, because 2 is positive, 2. And there is my next point. Way easier than even getting to intercept points. Okay? Let's look at another example. So first, I want you to write this down, stop the video, and I want you to first try putting this into slope-intercept form and then seeing if you can extract the slope and the y-intercept point. And then we'll get back together and we'll do it together. All right, so in order to get this into y equals mx plus b, I'm going to have to start by moving the 12x to the other side. And just like always, when it goes across the equal sign, his sign will change. And I want to push him up right here between the equal sign and the 32. We're just going to move the 32 over because we want this to be y equals mx plus b, not y equals b plus mx. Okay? So I now, whoops, can't forget that x, that's really important. The sign on the 32 did not change because the 32 did not go across the equal sign. We just pushed him back farther on the same side. Now I need to get the y by itself. So I'm going to divide by -8. Be sure to do this to each term separately. Don't just put one big line. It always messes us up. So -8, -8. So here I now have y equals, now negative divided by negative is a positive, and 12/8. I can reduce that. That's a fraction. I'm going to reduce. So I can divide both of these.